Wholeness, beautiful beings, welcome to my channel. Welcome to Seeds of Silver Tree. And today's topic is of shadow, about shadow work. And this is where light workers must go. Right now I'm chilling in my vehicle in Spirit. That's her name. Running some errands today before my work weekend, and I'm just trying to get a little bit more ahead of these videos because this fall is probably going to be incredibly busy for me. So I may not be able to get to your the responses in the fall. I'm just foreseeing that, but I'll do my best. But thank you so much for those of you who've have expressed your gratitude and appreciation for these messages, for these seeds. But let's get into it. So why should light workers go into shadow? That is where your work is needed. Time and time again. And light workers, listen, that's a new age term, I guess, but it's not really new age, it's ancient, okay? Angelic work, healing work, spreading the gospel. It has so many terms and has so many ways of expressing itself, but I've noticed on my path, when it comes to this type of calling, if you will, light workers like to go where they're called, okay? Like you love to, you go to your church every Sunday or Friday. If you have Juma prayer, you go to the mosque, or you go to your little, Sufi gatherings, the zikrs, or you go and you do your moon gatherings. If you're into paganism, you go to where you find your kind and where you can be yourself and where other people are heart-minded and like-minded like yourself. However, you must understand, especially when you're advancing on your path, when your relationship with the Almighty Source, God, higher power is beginning to strengthen, know that when God feels prepared, when the higher calling feels like you're prepared enough, you will be pulled into the shadow realm because of your gifts. You should never run away from this because this is part of your task and it's part of your test. And what I found is, when I lived out west, okay, New Age community, conscious community is strong, okay? This is where, a lot of the non-traditional, non-Western practices, spiritual practices have been unfortunately whitewashed, okay? That's just, I have to be blunt, I have to be honest, but a lot of non-Western, non-Christian spiritual practices have flourished out in the Southwest specifically. And so anyway, I found out there during my travels and living and working and, doing stuff in the spiritual community, I found like this, not so much spiritual hierarchy, like I'm holier than thou and I'm more awake than you. It was really, I find that more here where I'm at in the Midwest than I did out there. Actually, it was more so of you when you enter into their spiritual community out there, it's like a bubble, right? And I find that with many religious and spiritual practices, there's like a bubble of goodness, a bubble of righteousness, a bubble of protection and support amongst everyone. However, sometimes that bubble needs to be burst, and sometimes you need to expand beyond the bubble of goodness and of light. And this is where your strength is tested. The more you begin to do, or the more you commit yourself to your inner work and your inner calling, and you commit to it, the stronger the test will be. It's very interesting. I'm not going to say dark forces, I'm going to say shadow forces, because that's where shadow forces like to live. They avoid the light at all costs, okay? And the real strong shadow forces, all right, the only reason why they're attracted to your light is to bring you down to their frequency, because they're strong enough to withhold in your space of light for a certain amount of time, and they try to penetrate until they find a weak link, and then they drag you down into their frequency. They drag you down into their realm. So, but most avoid the light like the plague. They don't like it. You need to go into their space to shine light in the shadow. Okay? Darkness is a different thing. I have trouble with this whole dualistic black, white, wrong, right type of way of perceiving evil. What is evil? What is good? What is bad? What is, right, and all that other stuff. Because I exist in a very dualistic reality, and I'm very non-dualistic at times. Okay, but that is to say, when you are placed in a space of shadow, and there's a lot of darkness, there's a lot of evil, there's a lot of things, and disagreeable energies and entities, you're there to put the work in. You're there to use your light to expand or to neutralize something that is disagreeable or evil or lacking love. We like to be comfortable, my dear light workers. Okay, and this, I don't care what denomination, what spiritual path you're on. I don't even care if you call yourself atheist and you just go by your moral compass. There's a certain light, an essence of light people carry within themselves, and then they have a choice to make whether to expand on that or not in this life. Another thing I wanted to expand on is self-mastery. When you begin to master your demons, okay, master the darker forces within yourself, your shadow forces within yourself, you become even more of a powerful instrument of the higher power, source, God, okay? And so with that, keep that in mind. The more you master and neutralize the shadow essence within yourself and the dark essence within yourself, and you're no longer afraid of your demons, you're no longer afraid of what goes bump in the dark, right? When you blow out your candle, you turn off the lights. Remember, the womb is a dark place. Remember, a seed must germinate in the darkness of a soil. Remember, there's a whole other force called dark matter that flows amongst the stars in space. So just, keep that in mind with this whole wrong, right, black, white, all this, good and evil. So yeah, that's kind of what I wanted to share with you. Like, you have to be with the only constant thing in life is change, and so you have to, and with change there's discomfort. You have to be comfortable with being uncomfortable. When you're using your light, that's when your faith is tested. When you're in the space of in the space of light, and you're embodying light. Like, I think of Gandalf in Lord of the Rings when they go into the Cave of Doom or something like that. Anyway, where the dwarfs would dig deep down into the earth. And then one day, they dug a little bit too deep, and they unleashed an entity, okay? A true shadow demonic being that wanted nothing but to destroy and to destruct all that was good, or is good in that world, in this cave. But anyway, there's a part in Lord of the Rings that they go down into this cave because it's the only pathway. And Gandalf, again, he was the light worker, one of the light workers in the movie, okay, symbolic. He didn't want to go down that path. He did not want to go down into the depths to meet a shadow demon. Okay, a fire demon. He didn't want to go because that would be the death of him. His death was a very symbolic of the ego death that happens when you meet a mirror of yourself. When you meet, it's like your angelic self and then your demonic self, and then they clash. They go to war. And so that's what happened. He had to go to war, sacrifice himself to save the fellowship. So the fellowship started to, kind of dismantle towards the end of that first movie. But I say that there was a scene where he used his staff to light up this cave. Right? So that they could see their pathway. And sometimes as a light worker, you got to go in, right, with your energy, meaning your heart, how you speak, how you engage with people, and what you say and how you engage with in that shadow space that you're placed into. You kind of have to just light up the space so that people who are stuck in that shadow can see the truth of what's going on. Light workers dissolve illusion. Illusion is very powerful. And to some degree, we're all under a spell. Just listen to the music that you listen to, right? Especially the mainstream music. Oh my gosh. I'll share this with you on a side note. I listen to everything, and I'm a student of many different paths. I like to study and expose myself to different elements of spirit. And last night I was listening to a Christian song, a gospel song, and it was a live performance by this woman called Ladea, something like that. She was a beautiful voice, and her heart she put her whole heart in that song. And the camera was panning around in this mega church, everyone's crying. People stood up in amazement. And there's something happening in my personal life that I needed to shed tears. And my golly, the light in that song opened my heart, and I cried. And I expressed what needed to be expressed, because a lot of it was under the guise of, or behind the mask of anger. I was upset about a situation that I have absolutely no control over, but it was affecting someone that I cared about, or care about. And, she's going through a hard time, and I'm just like, I can't do anything. And I was just so angry at the whole situation. And for me, anytime there's a lot of anger, or someone's carrying a lot of anger on their heart, it means that there's a lot of sadness and pain. And so it's like, the light in that song. Look for the light, my dear light worker. I'm not telling you need to go to the dingiest, darkest bar, or the dingiest, darkest house party, or you like going places where you probably should avoid. No, I'm saying when God is calling the spiritual warriors to line up, that's what I mean. Your light belongs in the shadow, so the shadow can be neutralized with love, with truth, with guidance, with compassion, with forgiveness, with gratitude, with joy. That's how you neutralize evil on this planet. Neutralize. You don't take it on. You don't take on the darkness and shadow of other people. You don't do that. Light workers, empaths do this all the time. Empaths do this all the time. Hypersensitive, sensitive people do this all the time. We like to eat. We're like sin eaters. Okay? We'll eat the sin of other people, and then we get sick. Spiritually, mentally, emotionally, physically. That ain't our job. Sin eaters, they do exist. They have a very specific and very special role to play. But most of us, sometimes you got to know the type and study the type of frequencies that you're bringing in. And that will be revealed to you once you commit to the calling. I used to be definitely afraid of human beings as a child. I felt so alien and out of place. I didn't like talking to people. I really did not like engaging in this world, to be quite honest with you. I really struggled as a child to fit in anywhere. But music saved me. And I found community in music and stage and performing, it's just my heart, my throat, everything opened up. You know? And over time, like I began to grow into myself, and I became less and less and less afraid of interacting with human beings. And it wasn't even well, maybe it was social anxiety. I don't know. This is a very social anxiety inducing place to live, like this whole world. The energy of it is very dense. But then you have to ask yourself, well, am I a dense person? How light am I? How heavy am I? What am I carrying on my spirit that makes me feel this way? Because like attracts like. So that's the video. Let me know what you think or feel. And I'll talk to you soon.